Get out of the vehicle! Get out now!
We go to a preliminary hearing in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The defendant is 38-year-old Gregory Parker. He's been charged with reckless endangerment, driving with a revoked license, resisting arrest, and a number of other charges. 4 months earlier, Parker was driving on a Tennessee highway when State Trooper Dale Herring clocked him going 91 miles per hour in a 65 zone. After a few minutes, the officer catches up to him.
It's a red Chevy pickup with ladders on top. Not yet. I believe he's looking for a safe place to pull over.
Officer Herring remains calm, thinking the driver is about to pull over.
221, we're approaching Broad, 18 miles an hour. At stoplight.
After a couple of miles, Parker comes to a stop at a traffic light. He's also been live streaming the incident over social media.
Well, I'm being pulled over. Got a Tennessee Highway Patrol behind me.
Hey, get out!
The officer approaches the vehicle, and he's all business.
Get out of the vehicle! Get out now! Get out of the vehicle now! Get out of the vehicle now!
Herring's in no mood for conversation.
Get out of the vehicle now! Get out of the vehicle now!
Emergency! Why are you jerking on me? What's the problem?
You have any weapons on you?
What's the problem?
Put that cell phone down. Open the door.
What is the emergency?
Get out.
I'm trying to. You're jerking on my arm. I can't come take the
seatbelt out.
Brother. I got my arm. I can't.
All right. Get out. Get out. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Why are you doing this to me, Get on the ground. Why are you doing this? Put your hands behind your back.
What's the emergency? What crime have I committed?
You didn't stop.
I was trying to find a safe place to pull off, brother.
You didn't stop. You passed up plenty.
The officer brings Parker to his feet and gives him the news.
You're under arrest.
Do you have a warrant for my arrest?
You're under arrest.
For what?
For not stopping.
Parker was arrested and released on $60,000 bond. He arrives at his preliminary hearing with his camera rolling, and things are off to a rough start.
Go that way. Go that way.
Don't be pushing on me.
Go this way.
Why are you assaulting me? Get your hands off of me.
Sir, move out the
I
way.
did not consent with this bullshit anyhow. Don't be pushing me around. Before I cross this bar, I waive no rights and I retain all my rights.
Parker barely acknowledges the authority of the court or the judge. His legal arguments are ones commonly used by sovereign citizens, a group who believes certain laws don't apply to them.
Do you
I don't have an attorney. I have no need for one.
The judge provides Parker with a public defender, who will act only as an armchair attorney. Parker will handle the questioning of Officer Herring himself. He asks Herring a number of seemingly irrelevant questions, perhaps hoping to confuse the officer.
When did you come to the determination I was driving?
When I got behind you and you're behind the wheel of the vehicle.
I think that's been answered, sir. You can ask your next question.
Do you know the difference between driving and traveling?
I'm going to object to that question because it's irrelevant under the state law.
That's completely irrelevant.
I'll sustain the objection. You may ask your next question.
Who is the victim in this situation?
I'm going to object to the relevance of that.
Sustain. That is not relevant. You may ask your next question, sir.
Finally, after realizing his tactics don't seem to be working, Parker calls it quits.
I ain't playing y'all's game no more. Go ahead, do what you're doing.
After hearing from both sides, the judge makes her decision on whether the case will move forward.
I find that there's probable cause to believe that all these crimes were committed, and they were committed by this defendant here in this county. And I will bind these cases over to the grand jury.
Parker's pled not guilty, and his trial is pending. If convicted on all charges, he could spend 20 years in prison.
I ain't playing y'all's game no more.
Next, we go back into the court cam archives, where tempers ran hot at one very tense deposition. This is Jack Garrett, former chemist for Monsanto, St. Louis-based industrial chemical company, being sued by more than 1,700 people in Harris County, Texas. The neighbors are claiming they suffered severe health problems as a result of living near a toxic waste dump site once used by the company to discard hazardous materials. Garrett's here today for a deposition.
When you were at Monsanto, what was your title?
At Monsanto, what do you mean?
In Texas City.
Research chemist.
So far, so good. But that's about to change.
Was that your title during your entire stay at Texas City?
Texas City, yes.
Don't talk over each other.
Interrupting is attorney Edward Karstoffan, who doesn't represent Garrett, but represents Monsanto, the company.
After you left Texas City...
Wait a minute, let me ask a question here.
Yeah.
You represent this guy or not?
Who are you?
My name's Tucker, and I represent Ayrshire, and I just want to know if you represent the guy or not. If you don't represent him, you don't have any right to be making any objection. If you do represent him, tell us so.
Karstoffan has heard Tucker's suggestion and offers a suggestion of his own.
Why don't you keep your mouth shut? I'll do what I want.
No, you're not going to do what you want.
Oh, wait.
I'll do what I want.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
That's bull.
Whatever objections I want to make, and I'll make them as loud as I want to make them. Now you just shut your mouth and we'll keep the record straight.
Don't tell me to shut my mouth, boy. You may be big, but you won't see how bad you are. Come on.
And I wouldn't try that, Ed.
Are you threatening to fight?
Hold on just a second.
No, I want to know whose side we're on. We're going to be outnumbered, Ed.
I'm going to tell you something else. You don't run this deposition. You understand?
To you, Joe.
You watch and see. You watch and see who does. Big boy.
I'm telling you, Joe.
Oh, you ain't telling me a thing.
No,
But don't be telling another lawyer to shut up.
Don't be
That
telling
ain't
me.
your job,
That's not
fat
your
boy.
job. Mr.
Now get back.
Hairpiece. Don't be
That
telling
ain't your
me.
job,
That's not
fat
your
boy.
job. Mr.
Now get back.
Hairpiece.
This deposition, with lawyers making big bucks by the hour, has officially devolved into an exchange of childish insults.
I said before, you have an incipient bad
What do you want to do about it?
Well, I'd like to knock you on your head.
Come try
I'm
it.
not gonna do that.
Come over here and try it, you
Wait a minute.
dumb son of a...
Wait just a second.
Well, I'd like to knock you on your head.
Come
I'm
try
not
it.
gonna do that.
Come over here and try it, you
Wait a minute.
dumb son of a...
Wait just a second.
Come over here.
Hold it. Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Come over here. No way. Hold on.
Thankfully, the two men never came to blows. But after the insults stopped flying, it was Jamal who ultimately landed the knockout punch. Monsanto Company settled the lawsuit and agreed to pay out $39 million to the plaintiffs. Next, we go to Bond Court in Florida's Broward County. Judge John Hurley presiding.
May I see Abdano Hall?
He's just called defendant Abdano Hall, who has an outstanding warrant for resisting arrest.
All right, Abdano Hall. You want to work this out right now, Mr. Hall? Plead no contest. Case is over with. You want to do that?
I'm Abdul Alpha Law, authorized representative, natural person, appropriate persona. All rights reserved. Ex relation Abdul Hall. All rights reserved. UCC 1-207/1-308. UCC 1-103.
Now, that is definitely Abdano Hall, but that is not the name he's using.
I'm Abdul Alpha Law, authorized representative, natural person, appropriate persona.
Even though the judge has a full plate of cases, he plays along.
Do you know somebody named Abdano Hall?
Ex relation, I'm authorized representative, Abdul Alpha Law.
Oh, you're the representative for him?
Yes. Yes.
Do you know where he is right now?
Authorized representative.
No, I know you're an authorized
Abdul Alpha
representative,
Law.
but I need to
Ex
talk to him.
relation.
Do you know where he is?
Really? I object.
Object for
I
what?
object to that.
Hall is beginning to test the judge's patience.
I object to that.
State the grounds for your objection.
I object because I just gave you my natural appropriate persona name.
What is that name?
Abdul Alpha Law.
Some judges might take exception to this behavior and even hold the defendant in contempt, but not Judge Hurley.
Okay, let me ask
Authorized
you,
representative.
have you ever been known as Abdono Hall?
I object to that.
What's the grounds for your objection?
I object.
Looks like Judge Hurley will need an entirely different approach.
All right, well, let's do this. You're Abdono Hall's representative, right?
Authorized representative.
All right, when you see him, will you tell him his bond is $500? Thank you.
Hall is forced to undergo a psychological evaluation, but he serves no jail time. Our next story takes us to Las Vegas, Nevada, where Judge Douglas Herndon's presiding. The defendant is Gary Walters, who's on parole for various financial crimes. He's in court today over restitution he was ordered to pay as part of his sentence.
I've been making my payments. I've been on Social Security. I've been paying what I can in restitution. Okay. All of a sudden, he says, you got to pay $26,000 a month.
As Walters makes his case, there's a man standing a few feet behind him. And the judge takes notice.
You're going to have to go back to the original court and then possibly...
hold on a second. Who's this guy staring at me over here?
This is Kim Blandino.
I'm a co-plaintiff in the civil case.
Kim Blandino has nothing to do with this criminal case, and he's not even a lawyer. But he is a co-plaintiff in a civil suit that Walters has filed against his former attorney. Blandino has earned a dubious reputation for filing frivolous motions and joining civil suits where he has no affiliation. But Judge Herndon is not about to let Blandino disrupt his courtroom.
Okay, are you an attorney?
No, not
Then you need to sit down and quit staring at me like somehow you need to talk to me or whatever.
I do need to.
Pardon?
Can I make a record?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to make a record about you in a minute, but you need to sit down and be quiet because you're not a plaintiff or a defendant in my criminal case. You're not an attorney. You can't appear in my criminal case and act like an attorney, so sit down and be quiet. Mr. Walters, go ahead.
Walters continues, but when Blandino physically reacts to Judge Herndon's comments, the judge has a few choice words for him in his habit of acting like an attorney.
You know what? Let me tell you something. You want to act like an asshole, act like an asshole, but I'm telling you, that gets you nowhere in court. And you know what else gets you nowhere in court? Sitting in the audience of a court while a judge is engaging with somebody and shaking your head and being all demonstrative. So get out.
I'm sorry, it was inadvertent.
No, it wasn't inadvertent. Don't give me that. It's not inadvertent. It's never, get out. It's never inadvertent when you come in and act all disrespectful to people.
Blandino exits, but feeling disrespected, he later files a motion to have Judge Herndon disqualified from the case. The motion was denied.
State of Nevada versus Kim Dennis Blandino.
18 months later, Blandino's back in court, but this time as a defendant. He's been charged with extortion and is under house arrest. He has a hearing before Judge James Bixler, who's well aware of Blandino's history as a wannabe litigator. Blandino's representing himself, but the court has appointed Steve Alter as co-counsel, which puts Blandino in a combative mood.
Mr. Alvig, will you accept appointment as standby counsel?
I have an objection.
Shut up.
I have a right to object, I believe, Your Honor.
You have the right to get held in contempt of court. And that's what's going to happen if you don't shut up. I'm not putting up with any of your crap here today. Your reputation has preceded you. Will you accept appointment on him as standby counsel?
Your Honor, I can. However, Mr. Blandino, after we spoke outside, wanted a little bit of time to speak to me in detail about this case and his desires, and then also to look into my background a little bit before he would agree.
He wanted to interview you?
Yes, sir.
That's Your Honor. I object to that laughing, Judge.
I object to you. I think the defendant has already categorized himself as a vexatious litigant.
I object.
You can object all you want.
Can I make a record?
No.
I've got a motion.
What did I just say? What did I just say? No.
I can't say anything.
No.
Blandino refuses to quit, to the point where others in the courtroom begin reprimanding him.
Shut up. Shut up. You're getting real close to getting remanded.
Blandino finally gets the message and agrees to meet with the court-appointed counsel.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I think you're very impatient, though, sir.
Blandino remained under house arrest for extortion and impersonating a public officer. Next, we're in Denver, Colorado, for the deposition of attorney Robert Abrams. Abrams' firm was added as a defendant alongside their client in a lawsuit between two former business partners and are being sued for fraud, conspiracy, and aiding and abetting a criminal by the plaintiff.
Good morning, Mr. Abrams. Do you understand why you've been asked to give your deposition today?
No.
To say tensions are high in the room would be an understatement. Asking the questions off camera is the plaintiff's lawyer, Tom Werge. And on the other side of the table is Abrams' lawyer, Neil Sullenberger.
Are you aware that your firm, Abrams & Associates, is a defendant in a lawsuit that's going to trial next month?
Yes.
Have you had your deposition taken before?
I think so.
When have you had your deposition taken before?
I don't recall.
How many times?
I don't recall.
You're sitting here today under oath. You have no idea whether you've been deposed before?
I've answered that question. Object to form. Move on.
Object to form is a quick way to object during a deposition and, in effect, ask the attorney to clarify the question.
Have you been deposed
Object to
before?
form. Object to form. Move to certify the question. If you feel that I haven't answered, then you can move for a sanction.
We're going to go ahead and stop the deposition at this point and dial the special master. Good morning. Yes, we are in the middle of a deposition this morning.
But when the special master isn't available, plaintiff's attorney Tom Werge asks the same question again.
Mr. Abrams, have you had your deposition taken before?
And gets the same answer.
Object to form. Asked and answered. Move on.
You need to answer the question.
The question was answered. Excuse me. Have her read it back.
Yep. Mr. Abrams, this is not your deposition.
Please don't harass me.
No, I'm not harassing you.
We're going to move for sanctions
I'm
against
asking you to
if you're not
answer
going
your
to
questions.
allow
He just
her...
answered the question.
As the heated back and forth continues, Abrams, who is a witness, begins making his own objections, which a witness is not allowed to do during a deposition.
I'm going to raise, move to strike, find it objectionable, and then move for sanctions for harassment under Rule 30D. You can look it up if you don't know it.
Mr. Abrams, I feel quite confident that if any sanctions are entered in this matter, it's going to be against you.
Object to form.
For continuing to obstruct and not answer any of my questions.
Object to form.
You cannot object.
I just did.
You cannot.
I just did. I'm a lawyer. I'm a licensed, unblemished member of the bar. Unblemished. If you laugh at me one more time, we're going to walk out.
We're going to move for 30D3 sections.
We're going to move for harassment sanctions against you right now.
Things only get worse when the arguments take a personal turn.
We're going to be here for a long time today if you do not answer my questions. I can't even get through my initial questions here because you are being so obstructionist.
That's
today.
because you're a weak lawyer. You have us down here for fraud. Ask us fraud questions.
Okay, let's ask a couple more questions. Mr. Abrams, what are the pills that you just took?
Object to form.
None of your business.
Privilege.
What are those other pills?
Object to form. Object to privilege.
None of your business. But I can tell you that if you took some of these, they would help get some of your weight off. I can tell you that.
Oh, you're referring to when you called me fat when you walked in here.
Object to form.
If you want to raise your weight problem, Mr. Ward, with the jury and with the special master, please do. But we're not the ones that are sitting here in that condition.
I am going to end this deposition now.
Okay.
Mr. Abrams, we're going to continue it while we seek intervention of the special master.
Fine.
It's clear that you are not here to answer any questions today. We are going to move for sanctions against you and your firm for your conduct during this deposition, and we will take that up with the special master.
And we'll represent your conduct during this deposition.
Please do.
After reviewing the transcripts from the deposition, the special master issued an order for sanctions against Abram. His behavior during the deposition, along with other misconduct in the case, would ultimately earn Abrams a 9-month license suspension.
You have no evidence. Put something in front of me and we'll answer the questions. You have nothing.